Welcome to Drawing with Vince Mancuso. We're back. I got my three amigos here, and today we're going to do the last video on the detail of the heads. We're going to be talking about hair. Okay, so the first concept with hair is that it has the tendency to spring around in clusters, right? The hair follicles, they are natural collectors of static electricity, through the body that we get from friction and so on and so forth, and it runs through the hair, and the hair moves in groups. And before we start drawing, let's just identify the general location of where the hair grows. Okay, so you've got the hairline here, right? It'll come down through the side of the head, and this is all different, slightly in different people, right? But it comes up like that, right? Generally speaking, then it wraps around the ear, and then stops here at the base of the cranium. Where the brow starts to turn down, this spot here in both these locations is usually where the part is. Okay, this will come up the side like that, right? And then obviously it would continue on to the back side, right? Which we wouldn't see. And then right across the entire top of the skull. And then it'll come down the side over here and do the sideburn thing on the opposite side, right? In the front, it would look something like this. This is where the natural parts would go. That would come down around the ear, around the back side, over, down, little sideburn around the ear, over the back side, across the top. And the opposite one, same, down, sideburn, around the ear, to the base, then around and across down the other side. There's your basic starting point. And then here, basically, you have follicles, millions of them, tons of them, or whatever, and the hair fundamentally grows out, right, in this kind of manner. Right. Out in this kind of manner, straight up, right? And then what happens is, as it grows, right, a gravity force, right, starts to pull it down. Okay? This is what makes hair pliable, right? And it has movement, because it'll do this kind of a thing. Let's get that off, and let's turn these off. So, for example, if a head sort of swings, right? Swings in a particular direction, right? Like, let's say like that, right? And a head will do that. Okay. So now what's happening is the hair will respond, right? Here's the general lay of the land, right? Let's say this was like a female head, right? The hair would swing across the face like that. Have that kind of movement, and then would kick out like that. So it has a flow to it, right? It moves. Okay? And we'll talk about the various strokes, right? This is why, like, the key strokes, you've got curves, you've got a counter curve, you've got S curves, you've got spherical points going around from one point in 360 degrees. You have straights hanging down, right? Very important. If for example, a person has the greasies, or they've just come out of the pool, right? You know, here's your head, the flattened side, right? There's your hairline. Right? Person is like this. And now the hair is clinging to the face and hanging, right? Right, you know, it's wet, it's heavy, you know, it's just kind of drooping down like that, okay? And you get that kind of a feel, right? It's all wet and heavy. If the hair is curly, right, then that does a different thing, because, you know, you've got now curl structures, and the hair will actually support itself. Okay, so for example, you know, you've got a situation like this, and if it's curly, it kind of creates these structures, right, that kind of support each other, right? And notice how I'm patiently sort of drawing curl and counter curl, right? Because that's basically what I have to do, right, to develop, you know, the form and the structure, right? And it kind of supports itself, so it actually defies gravity, right? It can hold itself down, you know, it can assert itself, right? Kind of thing, right? So it responds, it moves, and it moves in groups, right? Kept together by static electricity that's kind of just generated by friction and movement, okay? See, and you can start to create all these different kinds of looks, right? And so once you start to understand those particular characteristics. Okay. So the key thing is now when we're starting to think of hairdos, and we're starting, you know, once we understand that the hair is pliable in its movement, and when it's wet it hangs down, gravity pulls it down, you know. When it's curly, it supports itself because the curl structures create like a building block system that the hair can then sort of defy gravity and get body and shape, okay? If there's forces that come across, then, you know, it creates energy, right? These are important ideas, you know, to the movement, the pliability, the responsiveness of hair, okay? And if we think of that in those terms, right, then we can start to create the structure necessary, and then by using our directional strokes, we can build out the hair in a way that you know, looks natural, soft, pliable, open, flowy, right? So important. Right? Let's build out this curl on this guy here. And you see how I'm thinking about this structurally, right? This is what, you know, he's got curly hair. I want it to, you know, sort of kind of hold its own weight, you know, and sort of grow out on his head. Oh, I love to draw. It's so much fun watching these characters sort of just kind of appear out of nowhere. It's like everybody you've ever seen, but nobody you've ever seen. It's funny. It's such a trip. Right? He's a cool guy, you know. It's kind of a cool girl from the 60s. You know? So remember the pliability, the motion and the movement, right? Think of the motion line, right? This helps a lot when you're, you know, it's like if you're going to do something and it's like that, right? You know that things are going to have, you know, they're going to swing in that direction, right? If we're looking to, pull downward, you respond accordingly with the motion, right? If we defy gravity, then the structure kind of creates a physical form that holds itself up. It holds itself, right? And structure, movement, pliability. Okay? There's another aspect about the characteristics of hair that it's a whole other idea, movement and forces, and how it affects a pliable form.